leaders, dreamers, changemakers, welcome to the Vibrant Living Podcast. Here, limitations shatter and potential explodes into a kaleidoscope of possibility. At the helm, Donna Tashjian, life mastery coach and founder of Vibrant Living International, weaves godly wisdom and Christian perspective into every step, empowering you to discover your purpose and light up your world. Here is your host, Donna.
Well, hello, my Vibrant Living community. This is Donna back for another bonus special guest episode of the Vibrant Living Podcast. And you are in for a treat today. Whitney is joining me. Whitney, where do you live in the world? And tell us a little bit about you.
Yes, good morning. My name is Whitney King. I currently reside in Virginia Beach, Virginia, and we had some beautiful snowy weather here. So it may not be as cold as Michigan, but we are not accustomed to as much snow as we receive here in Virginia Beach. When there's not snow on the ground, I support various people through disability and family consultation. And what that consists of is just helping people navigate challenges that are disguised as, communication barriers disguised as challenges. So that could be family dynamics between spouses, that could be parents and children, that could be children and caregivers, and even adult children and caregivers if there is a disability at play.
I often laugh or chuckle when people that are serving other people with specific areas, it's how did we get there? And usually we've experienced, like when I talk about turning my baggage into luggage program, and I laugh and go, that means I had some baggage. And so we always help people with areas that we also experienced. So what led you to help people with this type of family dynamics? And why is the family so important?
At first I thought it was something I just fell into, but I think you explained it perfectly. Once we go through something, it's only right that we somehow want to help other people maneuver those same spaces. Now, I initially thought that I kind of fell into it because I was a special education teacher years ago. And while I was a special education teacher at a school specifically for children with autism and other various behavior concerns in association with the autism, I was pregnant with my son. Little did I know years later, after I left that classroom, that I would become an autism mom as well. So my son is also gifted. So in that space, I have in turn started advocating and helping people understand what it looks like for someone to have an invisible disability and how we provide supports to those people, because it would grind my gears to hear, oh, he doesn't look like he has autism. And I'm like, hey, son, do that little autism thing for me, because you can't see that. No. And because of his gift of art, and he's very smart in math and all these other areas, I often found myself trying to defend that frequently. So I'd like to empower families. And that's where that family dynamic comes from, is because whenever there is a disability in play, that puts a big strain on the family, especially if that loved one has high support needs, and a disability could be an intellectual disability, a physical, aging parents, you name it. It just puts such a huge amount of pressure. I won't say burden, because caring for our loved ones is never a burden, but it does put pressure on the family. And so I thought it was important to turn my experiences with raising a son with autism that's also gifted. And I'm the power of attorney for my aging grandmother who just turned 88, who's always been an independent woman. But now what that looks like, navigating those spaces and helping my mother along with that. So I thought it only made sense to just help families remain together through life's transition.
I also have a granddaughter that's been diagnosed autistic, and the thing that it is so much to learn
Yeah.
And the diagnosis carries, it's such a huge spectrum.
Yeah.
And it can mean so many different things. And so it is, I think all of that, it's not just pressure, it's the fear associated with messing up or not knowing or understanding how to communicate, because every single person, including you talking about getting older, the elderly, just because are older, how do you communicate, and all of that. So to me,
Yeah.
that is also in there with the pressure, is there's
Yeah.
fear associated. And whenever I make a decision from fear instead of faith, it's
Hmm.
not peaceful. And so
Yeah.
learning, and what I hear you doing, it's one of the reasons why I wanted to highlight you, is because you're bringing peace to families so that they can figure out how to communicate and how to navigate such a minefield of possible problems that can
Yeah.
arise through all this. So I asked a question before, and really feel like I want you to answer it. Why is family so important to you?
I think family is what keeps us going. I feel like family keeps us rooted, and that could be family that we're born into or families that we've chosen to create. I think that's an angle that people forget, is that we can often create our own families too.
Yeah.
There are so many different dynamics when it comes to family, and just helping. My goal is to help families understand what that means for them. I think sometimes we get wrapped up in what our neighbors image of family looks like, or what we see on TV, and then heaven forbid you add social media into it. Again, another level of pressure comes into play of, am I leading my family correctly? Do I
Right.
have the right type of family, and things of that nature? And without understanding what family means to us, I think we'll just end up aimlessly wandering. So I think family is just important for that root. Um,
I agree. Yeah,
Family is discussed in the Bible.
absolutely.
It all goes back to it. So family is
Absolutely.
is
It,
everything.
I'm with you. I just wanted to hear you, because it's such a, I mean, like, how do you even describe how important the
Yeah.
family unit is? And there is such in communication can cause the poor communication can cause such a
Mhm.
brokenness and
Yeah.
misunderstanding. It's like I say pink and you hear red, and and all of that. And I'm like, I didn't say red. Well, that's what I heard. It's like
Yes.
all of that goes into, let alone talking about adding those invisible disabilities that can then come
Mhm.
through it all. And I think that's a lot of misunderstanding. We talked about the weather, briefly, and what does you mentioned seasons and the cold and all of that. There was something on your mind. What did you want to share about that?
So as I looked around, and I really, I'm looking out my window currently, and I still see these bare trees, but you can see the buds some of them are trying to
Well,
start
not
peeking
here.
in just above the branch, but they're not going fast. I'll tell you that, because it is very much so still February here. But I've experienced some loss over this winter season. Everywhere you look on the news, you see loss. And, I felt like this is a big season. Winter is a season of rest and preparing for transitions. And rest is short for restoration. And I just like to remind everyone how important it is to rest and realize when we're in our seasons of rest. You can always feel it when it's time to rest. And, think about nature. Everything is resting right now. We have animals hibernating, the flowers have gone in, a lot of our plants are dormant. This is truly a season of rest. So I like to encourage everyone to remember that, as much as social media and society makes us feel as though we need to be on the go, 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 listen to nature and our bodies and rest, because we're preparing for a reset. And if we don't rest during a rest season, we won't be able to prepare to do the work so that in the fall we can reap our harvest.
Yes. Restoration is a beautiful thing. And I mean, I I did a blog a couple years ago about how the trees look so dead. It's like it looks like hopelessness. It's like
Hmm.
it'll never grow leaves again. It's like when you look at
Yeah.
the winter, it's just like, oh my goodness, but if we take those times to, I am a big proponent of adding rest as a daily procedure, daily part of my life and habits. But there is something about seasons of it and recalibrating. I love that word. It's
Hmm.
what is important? What am I supposed to do in the spring? Where am I supposed to put
Yeah.
my energy? And I love to create white space, is what I call in my calendar. Instead of having everything booked back to back to back to back and feeling like that constant hurry and
Hmm.
striving, I got to get this done and there's so much to do and I can't get it ever done. And through all of
Yes.
that kind of stuff. And life can get that way. And I think that if you also look and follow the right people, there's a lot more people taking breaths, a lot more people saying, and I think it started during COVID when everybody was forced to do that.
Hmm.
But there is something about the seasons doing that. With this time of rest for you, what is God speaking to your heart?
It's really, I think, like I said, that's that reset. I was speaking with some friends after yesterday. I took the day to prune plants.
Mhm.
My plants are dormant, and I have this app that kind of helps me learn more about the plant that I'm working on and things of that nature. And one of the things that stood out to me, which is probably why I keep saying it, is that it's best to prune them while they're dormant. So, when you spoke about the trees looking dead and things of that nature, they're resting, they're dormant.
Mhm.
And I had to remind myself of that, I'm definitely an always on the go person. I've been on the go all day. And I've just really been taking a moment to listen to my body to rest so that I can prepare to get back out there. Um, I needed to hear that. I needed to hear that it was important to prune while the plants were dormant because I've been in a season of pruning as well. Pruning, maybe projects that I've started that
Right.
no longer align with the direction I'm going into. And I think oftentimes as women and entrepreneurs, we feel like if we put it out there that we're going to do it, that we have to make it work. And I had to remind myself what's been placed on my heart is it's okay to transition.
Mhm.
If you've come to a point where you had this idea on something, you got it started, and now for whatever reason you've received more information, it's okay to transition. I feel like we
Yeah.
have to be okay with making transitions, especially once we get new information, because an idea or decision may have been made before, and of course now we have new information that could change the way we look at how we want to, complete something, go forward with
Mhm.
something. So I think my message to myself that I've been hearing is that you're not dead, you're dormant, you're resting, and it's time to prepare for transition.
Mm. Beautiful. As we talked about communication, I would love it if you have any tips. I know that they have to be somewhat generalized because you don't know the specific family, but what helps us to communicate with each other?
I know. So for me and my family, we do family meetings on Sundays. And that's where, I sit and talk to my children about what events and activities they may have coming up within the next week or two, what events and activities I have coming up within the next week or two. And that just sets the tone to know how busy we're going to be, what
Hmm.
to expect as far as that one on one time with one another, because I think having one on one time with each child is very important. Um, and that also creates space to know what dinners are going to look like this week. Are they going to be those slow cooked home meals, or are we doing burgers and tater tots?
Hmm.
But even something as simple as that helps kickstart the communication
Yeah.
because if we don't have those open conversations of things to expect, then that's when anxiety starts flaring because, maybe I didn't know about this event, my daughter wanted to go to, but I already have this meeting planned. And so now our anxieties begin to clash, and it could turn into looking like, as some people say, an attitude, or you got this teenage daughter, we automatically want to label them as sassy, when the reality is she's anxious because
Yeah.
she has something she wants to do that's clashing with something that I have to do. So
Right.
I think that's just one great way of, setting the tone for communication. We have a calendar and a dry erase board where we can write messages on. I also have, with my teenage daughter, we started this when I think she was 11, 12, entering that little
Mhm.
space of knowing everything that we young ladies do as we're entering our teenage years. But the book is called The Book of Safety. And she can write anything in that book, anything she wants me to know. And all I can do is read it. And my response has to be in the book. It cannot be out loud. It cannot be in a tone of anger, frustration, or anything. And she doesn't use it as much anymore because now she's comfortable just saying whatever needs to be said. But that book is still there, if needed. I start their
That's
days
beautiful.
by just asking, is there anything going on that you'd like to discuss? I specifically ask about things within their day, not just a general, how's your day? How was first period? How was second period? How was
Mhm.
reading? How was math? Did you have a test? How do you feel you did on the test? How was lunch? Who did you eat with that lunch?
Mhm.
Even in the evenings when they're relaxing, oh, which friend are you talking to now? Is everything okay with your conversation? And, that's from a parenting standpoint.
Yeah.
When it comes to supporting my grandmother, as her power of attorney, especially she's in another state. So I'm often checking in with her caregivers, asking her how she's feeling. Is there anything she needs? And I think that's important for communication, is asking people what they need and making sure you're showing up in the way they want you to show up. Because we could just say we're there, but if the person doesn't see it that way, then again, that's where a clash in communication can come from.
I love that safety book. That's a great idea. I haven't heard that one before.
Yes.
That's and
Yeah, that was her book
when
of
you
safety.
write your response as a parent, it's different. You've thought about it.
Yeah.
You're not reactive, you're responsive, and
Mm-hmm.
it causes you to do something completely different with that. Um, and learning to be able, I mean, I was thinking when you were talking about that communication is like, okay, you have a math test and it's a pretty big one. Are you allotting time to study? Oh, you have a soccer game. Oh man, I need to wash your uniform. It's like all of those kind of
Yes.
things that cause that. Mom, I have a soccer game. Where's my uniform? And like,
Yes.
in those kind of things that cause little uproars in our life that could be prevented with those kinds of
Absolutely.
communication. So that's because I experienced everything I just said when I was raising my kids.
Yes.
uh,
And remember, the disruption that we're seeing is anxiety in action.
mhm.
We can't see anxiety, but the behaviors being exhibited are
Right.
as a result of those anxieties. So communication can just help prevent so much of that. So
Oh,
much of that.
beautiful. Now I know that you work in the state of Virginia, but if someone listening happens to be there or wants to ask you questions about all of this, how would they get in touch with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So my website is www.whitneyking.info. And once you're on the website, if you click the Help Center, you're able to submit a question. There are also some articles there that you can browse through. But yeah, you can reach out to me through that avenue. And I'm on all social media platforms as Whitney King Speaks.
Wonderful. Whitney, thank you for all that you do. I want you to just take a moment and allow some love to enter your heart and appreciation for all of the people that you're touching, all of the difference that you're making, just receive it. Sometimes we push those things away. It's like I'm just doing what I'm supposed to be doing, but no, I want you to pause and receive the appreciation, receive the love because you have no idea, and probably till you get to heaven, the impact that you've made on people's lives. And I just want you to receive it. And I bless you. And thank you for all that you do, and thank you for being here today.
Oh, I absolutely received that. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You are welcome. That was a wonderful conversation with Whitney, and I love the tips that she gave to be able to help us to communicate better and to have more peace and strength in our families. So I'm curious, which of her tips are you going to implement? Wherever you find me sharing this information, comment below. How are you going to implement what you've heard today? And as always, if you would like some support in your life to grow and to be all that you can be, letting go of strife and discord or struggle and learn how to do it the easy way, I would love to offer a conversation with you as well as my free guide, Renew, Recharge, and Thrive. That is a guide to help you live and be as vibrant as you can. I bless you. Thank you for being part of the Vibrant Living community. Oh, and who do you know that needs to hear this message? Please feel free to share it and like and give a review. Until I'm back with you again, have an amazing day. Bye for now.
I hope your soul feels ignited, your spirit nourished, and your mind buzzing with possibilities. Share this with a friend who needs a dose of vibrant living. Tag us on #Vibrant Living Podcast and tell us your biggest takeaway. For more support, clarity, and wisdom, visit Donna at iVibrantLiving.com. See you soon.